Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Curse of Oak Island hints Vikings arrived in the past. The Curse of Oak Island hinted that Vikings possibly arrived on the island in the past. This comes as the team waits for the tunnels to allow them to go underground and explore the rooms they believe might hold treasure. Here is a look at why the guys think that Vikings arrived on the island. The Curse of Oak Island hints at Vikings. In the last episode of The Curse of Oak Island, the team found a mysterious artifact. They then said that the artifact might mean that Vikings arrived on Oak Island over 1,000 years ago. This was a positive moment on the show, especially considering that things didn't go well for the guys up to that point. This was when government bureaucracy stepped in to halt the excavation. Luckily, there is a lot to explore on the Curse of Oak Island. Even now, after so many years, the team has picked over the entire island for clues. However, they are still finding things. Gary Drayton and Jack Begley went to Lot 8, and they found a metal plate with an insignia on it. The copper object on Oak Island proved to possibly be extremely old and European. This last The Curse of Oak Island episode added some conjecture to the object. Mayan expert Dr. Edwin Barnhart looked at the copper object again and said that it was only made in Europe. He then said that he felt it could have Viking origins from somewhere between the 8th and 11th centuries. According to Dr. Barnhart, the Vikings used brass to place over several objects. He also said that the Vikings could have reached Greenland and Newfoundland during the 10th century, and they could have arrived on Oak Island. While everyone talked about the Templar Knights, the introduction of Vikings sends the timeline back even more years into the past. Also remember, the team found a Viking coin on Oak Island in 1996 on Lot 5. When will fans go underground on the Curse of Oak Island? The entire discovery and discussion of Vikings happened around the same time that the plans to excavate the garden shaft screeched to a halt. While the Curse of Oak Island guys hired the Dumas Mining Company to excavate for them, the Canadian government stepped in. Unfortunately, they stopped everything for now. This is because the entire operation was labeled as a mining operation since they were excavating. While this was just to get underground to find these possible tunnels and rooms, the government sees it as mining. This really threw off Rick and Marty Lagina, who knew that this would make it stretch out for a longer period of time. The wind whipped through the towering pines, carrying the whispers of an ancient mystery that had long intrigued treasure hunters, historians, and adventurers alike. Oak Island, nestled off the coast of Nova Scotia, had been the focal point of legends for centuries. Many believed the island held a great treasure, buried deep within its soil, guarded by ingenious traps and treacherous waters. However, recent discoveries hinted at something far more profound than gold or jewels. Evidence that the Vikings, those fierce Norse seafarers, had set foot on the island long before Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The first hint came in the form of an old map, unearthed in the dusty archives of a European library. Parchment, brittle and yellowed with age, depicted a landmass that bore an uncanny resemblance to Oak Island. Intriguingly, the map was annotated with runes, the ancient script of the Vikings. The presence of these runes suggested that Norse explorers had not only visited but had also left behind clues to their journey. Excitement buzzed among the team of archaeologists and treasure hunters who had dedicated their lives to unraveling Oak Island's secrets. They knew the Vikings were master navigators and fearless adventurers, often venturing into the unknown. The possibility that they had reached the shores of Nova Scotia was tantalizing. Their next discovery further fueled their enthusiasm. While excavating near the infamous Money Pit, they unearthed a peculiar artifact, a fragment of a wooden plank. Initially, it seemed unremarkable, but upon closer examination, they noticed carvings that bore a striking resemblance to Norse runes. Experts confirmed that the markings were indeed of Viking origin, dating back to the 10th century. The plank's preservation in the island's boggy soil suggested it had been part of a larger structure, perhaps a ship or a shelter, built by the Norsemen. Eager to uncover more, the team turned their attention to the island's coastline. Historical accounts and local legends spoke of strange markings on the rocks, dismissed by many as mere natural formations. However, with the newfound Viking connection, these marks took on a new significance. Armed with the latest technology, they scanned the rocky shores and discovered that the markings were not random at all. They formed a pattern consistent with Viking navigation techniques, used to chart courses and record significant locations. But the most compelling evidence came from deep within the island's swamp. For years, the swamp had been a source of frustration and fascination, often yielding tantalizing clues that led to dead ends. This time, however, it offered something extraordinary: a Viking sword, remarkably intact despite its centuries-long burial. The hilt was intricately decorated with Nordic motifs, and the blade bore the unmistakable craftsmanship of Norse blacksmiths. Historians were thrilled. The sword was a definitive link to the Vikings, suggesting that they had not only visited Oak Island but had also established a presence there. The find aligned with sagas and Norse records that spoke of explorers venturing far to the west, encountering strange lands and unknown peoples. As they delved deeper into the island's history, the team uncovered evidence of ancient structures that bore a striking resemblance to Norse longhouses. These rectangular buildings, with their distinctive stone foundations and wooden frames, were scattered across the island. Radiocarbon dating placed them in the Viking era, further supporting the theory that the Norse had settled on Oak Island, if only temporarily. The notion of Vikings on Oak Island reshaped the understanding of North American history. It suggested that these intrepid explorers had ventured far beyond their known territories, interacting with the indigenous peoples and leaving behind traces of their presence. The implications were profound, challenging the traditional narrative of European exploration in the New World. Discovery also breathed new life into the quest for Oak Island's legendary treasure. If the Vikings had visited the island, perhaps they had buried their own hoards of riches, hidden beneath layers of soil and stone. The treasure hunters, inspired by the prospect, redoubled their efforts, using every tool at their disposal to probe the island's depths. In their quest, they found more artifacts: a Norse brooch, fragments of pottery, and even a Viking shield boss, each piece a testament to the island's ancient visitors. These relics painted a vivid picture of life on Oak Island during the Viking era, a time of exploration and adventure, when the Norse carved their stories into the very fabric of the land. The curse of Oak Island had taken on a new dimension. No longer was it merely a hunt for buried treasure. It had become a journey through time, uncovering the footsteps of one of history's most enigmatic and daring civilizations. The Vikings, with their seafaring prowess and indomitable spirit, had left an indelible mark on Oak Island, a mark that was only now being fully understood. As the sun set over the island, casting long shadows over the excavation sites, the team gathered to reflect on their findings. The air was thick with the promise of more discoveries, more clues that would unravel the island's secrets. They knew that Oak Island still had many stories to tell, stories that would captivate and inspire generations to come. In the end, the curse of Oak Island was not just about treasure or the dangers that lurked beneath its surface. It was about the allure of the unknown, the thrill of discovery, and the unyielding human spirit that drives us to seek out the mysteries of our past. And in the case of Oak Island, it was about the enduring legacy of the Vikings, whose legendary journeys had led them to a small, enigmatic island off the coast of Nova Scotia, leaving behind a trail of clues that beckoned the curious and the brave.